What is going on, guys? Today is May 8th, 8:15 a.m. right now. I'm getting ready to go do fasted cardio, but in today's video, we're going to be talking about steroids, pretty much everybody's favorite subject. And I'm just going to be giving you guys a bunch of random tips and things you should probably know about starting your first cycle and gear in general. Now, real quick, before I go down and do cardio, I came up with a good idea the other day. I'm not doing it right now, but eventually I'd like to create like an anonymous Dropbox where you guys can go in and submit any questions, life circumstances, video ideas, stuff that you guys want to see, or maybe that you need help with in life. That way I can make videos, maybe 1 or 2 a week, going through all of them. That way I can directly help you guys out with anything you're going through. Because I can make videos all day long about topics that can generally help guys in life, dating, fitness, that kind of stuff. I have a giant list of different topics, but I thought it'd be cool to directly help you guys out with your specific life circumstances, relationship problems, questions you have about lifting, bodybuilding, all that kind of stuff. So just a cool idea I came up with the other day. But other than that, we're gonna go start fasted cardio and we're hitting chest and shoulders today, my favorite day of the fucking week. So let's get fucking started. Chuck. All right, cardio is complete. It was a fucking sweaty one, I'll tell you that right now, cooking up breakfast right now. But the first thing that you need to ask yourself whenever it comes to PEDs, gear, steroids, whatever you wanna call them, is do you even wanna do them? You're probably like, Seth, that's a dumbass question. Of course I do. That's why I clicked on this video. But a lot of people have a huge misunderstanding about the gains they can make on gear, how fast they'll come, and how they really work. I was a dumbass kid whenever I first started gear. I was 21, I think, whenever I took my first cycle, and I was thinking it was gonna be like magic. I was gonna take them, and as long as I was eating decent and training pretty hard, then I was going to look like a Greek fucking god. That's what I thought was gonna happen, genuinely. And that's what a lot of people think is gonna happen. And I thought I was gonna pack on so much muscle and all this stuff. And sure, some people are genetic freaks and they respond extremely well to gear, and that does happen for them. But I was in the Marines at the time. I was drinking every weekend. I was eating Domino's and Wendy's and all this stuff all the time. I remember after the gym, we would go and I'd get 40 nuggets every day after the gym. My training was, I trained hard, but I didn't have a set program. I'd just kind of go in, I was hitting chest and do whatever. I wasn't training with intention, you know what I mean? Like that was I don't know how long of a transformation, but that was over a couple of months of being on gear. Nothing too crazy, right? Obviously I put on some size, but a lot of it was just kind of like water, and I was still fat and all that stuff. So it didn't do anywhere near what I thought it was gonna do. And that's because my training wasn't great, my diet was fucked. I was still trying to go out and party on the weekend and stuff. And that's not saying that you can't make progress while still going out on the weekend. You can, but you need to be locked in the other 6 days of the week completely. And you're just not gonna make nearly as much progress whenever you're going out drinking than if you were taking things serious every fucking day, right? And obviously you're gonna put on more muscle enhanced than you would naturally. No fucking shit, that's what gear does. But it's not as crazy as you think. It really isn't. Like your dream physique might have 20 or 30 pounds more muscle mass than you have on you currently. You're not gonna get that in a year or 2 years or 3 years, most likely. I mean, you're probably gonna put on anywhere from 8 to 10 pounds a year of actual muscle mass. And that's like responding really well to gear. So if you're still 20 or 30 pounds away of lean mass from your actual goal, I mean, that's gonna take 3-4 years. And that's 3-4 years of doing things fucking right year round and responding well. So if you think you're just gonna take gear and do one cycle where you're gonna get the gains quick, I mean, that's just not gonna happen. It's not, that's not how it works. A lot of people are under this misconception because they see people's 1 year transformation on gear and they're way fucking bigger, they're more shredded, this and that, but they don't realize that a lot of that size is fluff. A lot of it's just glycogen filling up in the muscles, water weight, and not a lot of that actual size that you're seeing that makes the transformation look so crazy is actual straight muscle mass. And that's why a lot of these influencers you see, they don't actually step on stage. Because up on stage, whenever you compete, you can't hide anything with water weight and glycogen. You're just your muscle. You're not like an inflated, bubbly version of yourself. It's just the muscle mass you have. And so a lot of guys, whenever they hop on stage and they do their first prep and they see themselves, they see how small they actually are and how little muscle mass they actually have. And they come to the realization and they actually see how much of their weight and their size was actually just this fluff that you get. So the first thing you need to realize is, do you actually want to hop on? Are you hopping on because you think you're going to get your dream physique in a year or 2 years while still being able to fuck around? Or are you hopping on because you want a long-term commitment, you're already putting in all the work and the effort, and you want the results to be enhanced from that discipline and work ethic that you already have? Because a lot of guys want to hop on gear because they want to use it as a crutch. They aren't disciplined, they don't have the work ethic, they aren't training hard, they aren't doing all the things right to grow enough naturally. And so they want to hop on gear, hoping that it will compensate for their lack of discipline, lack of work ethic, lack of sticking to a diet. But the reality is you're only going to get as much out of gear as you put into it. If you're using it as a crutch, obviously you're still going to see results as long as you're doing 80% of it right. And you're probably going to see more results than you would naturally doing things 100% right if you were on gear doing 80% right. But the thing you need to get across your head is you're still not going to make as much progress as you think you will if you're not 100% locked in. You're not going to be like the big ass bodybuilders you see online and shit being only 80%. Because you got to realize whenever you see bodybuilders and stuff, they're locked in all year long for like 5, 10, 15 years straight. A lot of guys can't even stay locked in for a couple months, let alone a decade. And a lot of guys just simply don't do anything right. They don't have any discipline, don't have any work ethic, and they think that hopping on gear is going to solve that issue. There's so many guys out there that are trying to get shredded and they can't be in a calorie deficit because they don't have the discipline to stay in the deficit. And they think that hopping on gear is going to solve that issue, but it won't. You still need the deficit. The gear ain't going to do shit for you if you're not in the deficit and you can't stay on a diet. You guys got to realize that whenever a bodybuilder's in prep on all this gear, it still fucking sucks a ton because you're in a bigger deficit because you're on the gear. The gear allows you to go into a bigger deficit to allow it to suck more so you can lose the fat faster without having to worry about losing your muscle. It's still going to suck with gear or without gear. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't get. They think that the gear is going to take away from the suffering and the struggle of losing fat or putting on muscle, but you still need to go through it. And there's so many guys that they can't grow in a growing phase because they don't eat enough food or they don't train hard enough. And they think, oh, I'll hop on gear and I'll just get fucking huge. But if you're not eating enough while you're on gear, you're still not going to fucking grow. If you're building a house and you have all the power tools, all the workers, the blueprints to build the house, but you're not giving them the materials to build the house, they're not going to be able to fucking build it. Just like with this, the gear is like the advanced electric tools and stuff to build the house. You have all the equipment you need, but you're not giving the materials to build the fucking house. So you're not going to grow, even with gear. You might put on some water weight and shit, but don't mistake that for muscle because it's not. And sure, you can get away with not training to failure week after week, month after month, year after year on gear for a little bit, but eventually you have to understand your body doesn't want all this muscle mass on it, okay? So eventually you kind of have to tighten down the fucking ship and start to lock things in if you want to continue to make progress. For your first little while on gear, you're going to make pretty solid gains because it's your first time having this high of testosterone and stuff. And you got to think about it like this. Remember whenever you were in puberty and your testosterone went up and you started putting on some size without even doing much at all? It's kind of like that. Your body initially reacts to the increase in testosterone and puts on some size. But ever since you went through puberty, you didn't just continuously put on muscle, right? Your body adapts to the new environment that it's in. Just like with gear. You're going to put on a little bit muscle and you won't need to do as much in that first cycle, but eventually your body adapts to it. But eventually your body puts on the max amount of muscle that it can with that level of gear and it adapts to that new environment. And now you need to start to perfect the other aspects. You need to start training to failure. You need to start getting the diet locked in to push your body to put on more muscle mass. Because like I said, your body doesn't want to put on more muscle up to a certain extent. And so the only way to do that is to force it to through training to failure and really fucking hard, eating enough food, just like whenever you're losing weight. Your body doesn't want to lose any more fat once you get to a certain point. And so you got to fucking force it to by pushing diet extremely hard, pushing cardio extremely hard, and forcing it to lose that fat because it doesn't want to. So you need to understand that gear is most likely not what you think it is. And then you need to reevaluate if you really want to hop on and reevaluate your real reasoning behind wanting to hop on. Are you looking at this as a long-term commitment and staying locked in for years and years and years and getting past a natural point? Or are you wanting to hop on because you think it's going to give you some crazy size in a short amount of time, you want to blow up on social media because of it, and you want to use it as a crutch for your lack of discipline and work ethic? Which of the two is you? You need to really dig deep and think about that because this is something that can fuck up your hormones for the rest of your life. You might need TRT the rest of your life. And you need to weigh the risk to reward ratio and figure out, is that risk of maybe losing my hair, of maybe needing TRT the rest of my life, maybe having struggles with fertility in the future, worth the reward? And the real question is, are you going to put in the work to get the reward? Or are you going to be undisciplined and shit and not even get the reward? So now you got all this risk without even getting the shit you want. So that's what it really comes down to. You need to weigh those out and figure out if you really even want to hop on. Something you see all the time is these influencers that hop on. They have this crazy transformation where they blow up and they look fucking huge now, and it's all because of the gear. But then after that, month after month, year after year, they never get any fucking bigger. And I can promise you, it's not because they don't want to get any bigger. Because anybody that's in bodybuilding or fitness You want to get bigger. You can try to hide from it all you want and put it in the back of your head and tell yourself, oh, I don't want to get any bigger. Everybody does. Whenever you wake up in the morning and you're on TRT because you're cruising and you're fasted, you don't have any food in you yet, you look in the mirror and you see what you actually look like, not all pumped up and shit, you know you want to put on more fucking size. But a lot of guys try to hide from that because they don't have the discipline, they don't have the work ethic, they're too busy out partying and all this shit to actually put on more size. You'll see every now and then they'll make a Instagram post or a TikTok or whatever saying, all right guys, I'm really gonna lock in, I'm gonna lock my shit in. And they do it for a week or two and then they fall off again. And they don't make any progress because they relied on the gear to get that initial size, and then they made the most gains they could from that initial input of the gear, and now they can't grow anymore because they don't have the discipline, they don't have the work ethic, and they're stuck there. One thing I've been thinking about a lot recently is that most people that say they want to live a balanced life only say this because they think that it will lead to a life of happiness and a life of no struggle and no hardships. But that just is not fucking reality. You're gonna face struggles and hardships no matter what you do in life. And you're gonna face even more struggles and hardships if you're trying to pursue a balanced life. Because by trying to live a balanced life, you are avoiding the struggles and the adversity that come with achieving a greater goal. And everybody has goals in life. I call bullshit on anybody who says they don't want to achieve some kind of goal in their life. If there was a little red button right here and it could grant any wish that you had in life, you would have something to hit it. But they use wanting to live a balanced life as some kind of excuse for not achieving that goal, an excuse for their fear of trying to pursue that goal because they're afraid of failing, they're afraid of judgment from others, and they're afraid of the hardships and struggles that will come along with trying to achieve that goal. They're afraid that they're gonna try and they're gonna let themselves down and everybody around them will see them fail and that will take a big blow to their ego. They're afraid that the people around them are gonna judge them for not going out to eat anymore or going out drinking anymore because they're trying to pursue something great. And they are just afraid of the struggles and adversity that are going to come with it because it's not comfortable and it fucking sucks at times. And they're afraid of that because they've been living comfortably for so long that they don't want to get out of that. And so because of this, they never even start. They never even take action to start that journey. And so they end up facing the struggle of avoiding struggle, the struggle of living a life of quiet desperation, the struggle of going to bed every night, knowing that you have goals you wish you could achieve, but never going after them, the struggle of being 60 years old and looking back on your life and having to wonder, what could I have done if I just would have gave it my all? What could I have achieved if I just wouldn't have been a pussy-ass little bitch and went after my goals? And having to live with that the rest of your life. And that is the struggle of trying to avoid struggle. Wouldn't you much rather face struggle and adversity in the pursuit of something greater than yourself? Wouldn't you rather face struggle and adversity knowing that in a year from now, you don't know where you'll be, you don't know what you will have achieved, but you do know that you will be a better version of yourself because you're putting yourself through the struggle and adversity on your own and you're gonna get better because of it. The only thing that a balanced life is gonna bring to you is mediocrity. Being average, being normal, being just like everybody else, and facing the same struggle of avoiding struggle as everybody else. And is that really what you want out of life? To live your life as a giant Groundhog Day, knowing exactly where you're gonna be in 20, 30, 40 years from now because you aren't getting any better? And if anything, you might not even be in the same place that you are now. You might be even worse off because you aren't working on progressing, so you're gonna fall back. Is that what you really wanna look back on in a couple years and say, wow, I really didn't do shit these last 10 years? Or do you want to look back on the last 10 years and be able to see the mental growth, physical growth, financial growth that you've achieved because of the hard work and the struggle that you faced, that you confronted and you overcame? All right, guys, so chest day, first movement, as usual, is going to be this incline chest press machine. We got, what weight do we have on here? We got 270 pounds on here, 3 plates on each side. Last week I hit this for 8 reps and it was a fucking struggle for the last 2 reps. So we're gonna see if we can get at the very least 8, but a bit easier. But I would love to get 9. So we're gonna go for that, try to find a good fucking song. I need something that makes me just, oh, I wanna tear someone's fucking head off. 7 Words by Deftones, that's a good one. Motherfucker. There was no hope of getting the last one up. Progress. I mean, last time that was how the 8th one looked. So We got 8.5 this time. Almost fucking 9, right fucking there. Next time that 9th one is mine though. Next week is mine, but a little bit of progress. Let's fucking win. If you wanna grow, man, that's what it's all about. Pushing for that one fucking rep, one extra half a rep every fucking week. All right, so next we have this converging bench press. This is one of my favorite machines. I love the converging at the top. Lets you get a really good contraction with your chest, but we got 320 on here, so 6 plates and a 25. And last week we got 8 reps, so shooting for 9, 10, but we'll see what fucking happens here. Gonna put on some good music. Hopefully that gives me a little bit of dopamine to push past failure. Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart. All right, so that set felt way fucking easier than last time. Last time whenever I got to like 6, 7, it got really hard, and then that 8th one was a fucking struggle. This time I felt really solid. Honestly, up until the 8th rep. 8th rep was kind of hard. Then I got that 9th one. Obviously, it was a bit more of a struggle. It went up pretty easy, so definitely progressed. And that feels fucking good. And honestly, whenever Motley Crue comes on, Kickstart My Heart, and you just fucking feel like punching through something or driving a fucking fast car and stomping on the gas, that shit, it pushes you. It allows you to push yourself a little bit further. That's why sometimes, though, I don't like to wear headphones, because I don't like to rely on the music. Just some kind of weird bro science mentality mindset stuff, but. All right, guys. I gotta get a better song on, hold on. Fuck. I lost my phone, everything was flying everywhere. All right, we're done with chest. We're moving on to side raises for delts. Fuck me. My fucking headphones. What's going on here? There we go. Unilateral side raises, that's what we're fucking doing. We're doing 120 single arm. Let's knock this shit out. So it is about 10:20 right now. I am 5 meals deep. Still got one more to go, and trust me, I'm at a point where I do not want to eat this last meal, but gotta do what you gotta do, so we're gonna get it in. So to continue with the gear talk, first things first, you gotta determine if you actually really wanna hop on cycle, and if you are, if it's for the right reasons, you're actually gonna utilize the cycle, and if the risk to reward ratio is there for you. Let's say that you've determined that yes, you do wanna hop on cycle and you're utilizing it for the right reason, but you're afraid of losing your hair. You're only going to lose your hair if you're already predisposed to losing your hair naturally. It's just gonna speed up the process. There are things that you can take in order to prevent that, like RU 58841, I believe, and minoxidil 10%, which you can get at Research On. My code's KrugFit. You don't have to get it from there. I don't really give a fuck. I'm just throwing it out there because it's a good source, but you can get it from wherever. Those two products work extremely well at preventing hair loss. I've seen it work very well for a lot of people and for hair regrowth. But whenever it comes to preventing hair loss, you need to start early. It's better to start early. So if you're worried at all about it, I just recommend using it. Now let's say you wanna hop on, but you're afraid of losing your fertility and not being out with kids. In today's day and age, it is very, very, very rare to completely use your fertility and not be able to get it back at all. There are plenty of different things you can take, like HCG and enclomiphene, in order to bring back fertility or maintain it while on cycle. I've never actually heard of anybody taking gear and not being able to get their fertility back and not being out of kids. If anything, I've heard of more people accidentally knocking up their wife while on cycle because they thought that it was gonna act as birth control, which it does for some people, because basically whenever you take testosterone synthetically, your body is like, oh shit, I'm getting test from a different source. I don't need to create it on my own. So it starts to stop or slow down production. But for some guys, it doesn't slow down enough. They still got some swimmers and they knock their girl up on accident. Now let's say you've determined that you wanna hop on, you're ready to hop on, you're gonna use it right, but you're afraid you're gonna die at 30 years old. This is a very common misconception. Most of these people that you see die at early ages and have all these health problems are open bodybuilders, okay? These are guys that are using way more gear than you ever will in your lifetime, like 3-4 grams a week. All right, that is a lot of fucking gear. And a lot of times, a lot of these stories you'll see, because they're on gear, they just blame it on the gear, but it actually isn't from that. Like that guy, Joe Aesthetics, that passed away, RIP. A lot of people think that he died from gear usage, but he didn't. He died from the same thing that his aunt died from, because it was genetic. It wasn't from the gear. So a lot of people have that misconception. And then there's another category of people that are just stupid. They don't get their blood work done, don't take ancillaries, don't take vitamins, and take care of their health while they're on gear. A big thing while you're on gear is, right, you're doing something that's negatively impacting your health, so you have to take extra measures to protect your health, like the vitamins, ancillaries, not drinking, not smoking, eating clean foods, and it kind of levels you back out to the point to where you're gonna die at a normal age. And I think it's absolutely crazy that these people will come at people on gear and say, you're gonna die at 30. Meanwhile, the guy on gear is eating only clean, healthy foods, taking his vitamins, taking ancillaries, monitoring his blood pressure, getting his blood work done. And then the guy saying it is drinking every weekend, eating fast food, and using drugs and doing all this bullshit. And he's not doing any health measures to counteract that. So he's probably gonna be the one that dies at an early age, not the guy on gear. So now let's say you wanna hop on a cycle, but you don't wanna inject yourself, so you're gonna do an oral only cycle. That's a horrible idea. Unless you're a female, you never do an oral only cycle. You always wanna have a testosterone base. So for your first cycle, you wanna use only testosterone, 500 milligrams per week, because you don't want to start to implement other steroids right off the bat, because you don't even know how you're going to react from just the testosterone. So if you use 2-3 different compounds, you start to have negative side effects, you don't know where the fuck it's coming from. So you run the test alone, see how you react to it. If you react fine, have no issues, then the next cycle you throw in a second compound and you develop issues and negative side effects, you know it's coming from that second compound, and you can kind of nail down where it's coming from. Now, let's say that you want to do one cycle only and then hop off. Nobody ever does one cycle only. You see the progress you made off one cycle, and then you keep on going. It's just like gambling or doing really anything else. You're not going to do just one cycle. And with that being said, even if you did do one cycle, that's fucking stupid. The gains you made on that one cycle, you're probably gonna lose, because you more than likely only wanted to do one cycle because you wanted to get some quick gains to make up for your lack of discipline or work ethic. So you're gonna go back to your normal ways right after the cycle. So you were probably only locked in because you knew you were running gear, and you're gonna lose them. There's no point in doing that. At that point, just stay natural. Using gear, in my opinion, is a lifetime commitment. You should only hop on it if you want to surpass your natural limit and you're going to be committed to this lifestyle. And whenever you're on gear, make sure you're taking all your vitamins. I take like $300 worth of vitamins a month. I get my blood work done every 4 months. I monitor my blood pressure every single morning. You gotta make sure you're doing this shit in order to do your best to stay as healthy as possible, because you are doing something that has a negative impact on your health. And whenever it comes to bodybuilding and putting on muscle, it's all about longevity, and it's all about being able to put on as much muscle as possible for as long as possible, especially whenever we're talking about competitors. And if you're thinking about using Tren because you think it's gonna do some super crazy shit, it's not as crazy as a lot of people make it out to be, and it is the most hyped up steroid known to man, mostly because of the side effects, because a lot of people think like the side effects are like cool, because a lot of people want to be like crazy and insane today. But a lot of people can't handle the side effects that come with Tren. And Tren, honestly, it gives you a very aesthetic look. It is a very powerful steroid, but I think that it is way, way overhyped. So no, you don't need to hop on Tren unless you're doing a prep. If you're doing a growing phase and you've already done a cycle of test, I think another great compound to throw in is Primo or Masteron, because it also will help lower your estrogen. That way you don't need to take an AI, which will be less harmful on your body. And then if you've already done that, you can throw in NPP or DECA as well in a growing phase, which are both great compounds. And if you're doing a cut, I typically do my cuts just on TRT dosage of test, so like 200 milligrams per week. If you're wanting to get shredded and look crazy for a beach vacation or something that I would run during like a prep, for example, is what you would want to run. And that would probably be something along the lines of test, Masteron, some Winstrol, and Anavar. That will give you a really dry, grainy, hard look while you're on vacation or for your photo shoot or whatever you're trying to do. And whenever you're running gear, typically what it looks like is you do a 4 to 5 month blast. So that's whenever you're utilizing the most compounds, and you're doing this in a growing phase, because the main function of gear is to put on as much muscle as possible. And then whenever you cut, you drop down to TRT, do like a 2-month mini cut, however long you need, on that TRT dosage to bring insulin sensitivity back and get in a good position to start another growing phase. Then you start that next growing phase after those months of cutting, blast again, and then keep doing that until you're the size you want to be, which will probably be never, to be honest with you. But other than that, that's pretty much everything that comes to mind whenever I'm thinking about gears. In tomorrow's video, I think we're going to be talking about how to stop caring about what other people think, because I think that is extremely important as a man to learn how to do. That way you can achieve your goals and become the best version of yourself. and we'll get into that tomorrow. And we just hit 1K subs, which is fucking awesome. Thank you guys, that's amazing. To me, it doesn't feel like a huge deal just because my vision is so big. Like I'm thinking 100, 200, 500K subs. It's like 1K seems like a little bit. But that's a good thing, right? You always want to stay hungry. You never want to feel like you're winning. You want to stay hungry because the second you start feeling like you're winning is the second you start putting in the work that you were putting in order to get to that point. And so I always set my goals high, so I always feel like I'm at the bottom. So I'm always putting in as much work as possible. But I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. I appreciate you guys for watching. Drop any comments with questions or concerns or anything like that, and I'll see you guys.